Hello, people. In this opportunity, we're going to study about the second part of what is history, which, as I said before or last week, is one of the bases for understanding social studies, along with geography. Okay, this is your class. And first, we're going to find out the key terms. The first one is centrism. Centrism is a way of looking at the world from the point of view of one's own country and region. We're going to go deep into this ahead. Stone Age. This is the part of prehistory, an early period in the history of human beings when stone tools and weapons were used. This is the beginning of time for us humans. Nomad, a person who keeps moving around, looking for food or pasture for his or her animals. They just can't be in just one place. They have to move from one place to another in search of resources that make them survive. Longhouse, a shelter for several families built by some Native American groups. You will see. Different viewpoints. The causes for this are mainly political, economic, social, and religious. When these different viewpoints crash with each other, they tend to generate conflicts among countries or between two countries or in a massive level as World War II, for example. But I'm going to give you a little example. The two Germanys. This division began in 1949. The West Germany became the Federal Republic of Germany and included West Berlin. And East Germany was also created in 1949, and it was the German Democratic Republic. They were divided by a wall, okay, the Wall of Berlin, which was demolished in 1989. So it was stood for 40 years. And for those 40 years, these two parts of just one nation were involved in a huge conflict that affected not only people from one side of another, there were families that became divided for this reason. It was pretty rough. There was no chance from trespassing from one side to the other. It was pretty hard for many people who were related. A central viewpoint. For some people in some countries, centrism can reduce to one country or one continent, especially the ones that have the Western point of view. And this is the biggest and most known example, Australia. Look at the map. Look at this map. Australia was an English colony at the beginning, okay? The advantage that Australia had over other countries that were also English colonies was that the distance was very big between Australia and England. So there was one point in which England could no longer keep dominating over Australia. So their ways and their points of view differ a lot from the ones who are English. In fact, they develop an unique point of view in many ways. In fact, they think that Australia is not just the country, but also the continent. We Latin Americans know it as Oceania, right? Well, they think it's Australia. And that is the way it is studied in speaking in countries that have English speaking, you know? Conflicting points of view. The conflicting points of view are given most of all by people from the West. How come? Well, they think their ideas should be shared by people everywhere, especially people from the United States. They have become so powerful and they know that they are so influential that they believe that everyone else in the world should their own points of view. Of course, there will be other people from other cultures and points of view that were going to resist that. Ideas about democracy, the role of women, even the calendar do not follow Western ideas, especially in countries in the Middle East and Asia. Europe too, but most of all in these countries where Muslims defend at any cost their beliefs and their criteria and their thoughts. Look at this. These are women wearing hijabs in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is a very advanced country in terms of technology and structure. Okay? And these are American people. You may think that, well, but these women don't have any freedom, and these do. It's true. For some of us, wearing this outfit is nonsense. It's crazy, but that is the normal life for them. And even some of them defend this tradition because it's part of their heritage. It's part of the culture, and they're not going to change that, you know? Let's talk about the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar is the one that we use, okay? And the Gregorian calendar dates from the birth of Christ. That is why we are celebrating the year 2020. That means that on December 25th of year 1, Jesus Christ was born. And this is our current calendar, okay? The Chinese calendar. The Chinese calendar follows the year according to 12 animals, and each animal represents 1 year. For example, if you were born in 1919, you were born in the year of the horse. Okay? Oh, I was born in the year of the horse. Oh, I am 25. Oh, so you were born in 1995. Oh, yes. Islamic. The Islamic calendar dates from the year 622 of the Gregorian calendar. That means that the years for them began later because it starts from the arrival of Muhammad to Mecca, which is the center of the Muslim belief. This is it. Okay? And the Hebrew calendar, which is ancient. It has 3,760 more years than our calendar. So that means that recently they celebrated the year 980. Okay? And they guide themselves by the changes in the seasons during the year. Centrist labels. This is the world as we know it. This is the west part of the world, according to the map of the world. And this is the east. Okay? For us Westerners, this part which is located right here, is called Middle East, but not for them. When I looked at this map with another name, I found out that was exactly the same, but it actually had another name. And which was this name? Southwest Asia. They consider themselves as inhabitants of Southwest Asia. We, Westerners, consider them as inhabitants of the Middle East. Okay? They don't label themselves like that. It's just a different point of view that we have. And now we got to the part of prehistory. Okay? The history before written history, in which the nomads traveled from place to place gathering berries, roots, and nuts for food. In this moment, agriculture was not established. Okay? So they got what they could find from the earth, what already grew or existed. Okay? They also followed herds of animals that they hunted for meat and hides. They didn't raise cattle. They didn't know how to do that. Okay? So they were in search of herds that were already formed in order to catch one of them like an animal and get the food they needed. When food in area was gone, nomads moved to another area. They didn't know the way to settle in a place in which they could make a living by growing crops or raising cattle. It didn't exist at that time. Okay? Some nomads learned to domesticate or tame animals, raise them, and move them into herds. That's what happened then. In fact, when they learned to do this, they started to move along with their herds. These are people gathering whatever they could find from the earth. And these are the nomads moving. This is a more contemporary picture, but that was basically what happened at that moment. Because as far as we know, they didn't wear any clothes. History from cave art. The cave art expressed what was going on in the different regions at that moment. Okay? So this is the first example. These are the Altamira caves, paintings of everyday life in the area. This is located in Spain. These are paintings from the Lascaux caves. This is in France. And it also expresses the way of life of people around. This is the first known sculpture. It's called the Venus of Willendorf. And this is another one. But instead of being three-dimensional, it was carved on a stone. And it's called Venus de Loso. When a piece of art becomes very famous, it leads to what we know as art parody. People take one piece, a classic piece of art, and turn it into an icon of contemporary history, like it happened here. How Stone Age people lived. They had a very simple way of life. They spent huge amounts of time meeting the most basic need, which was food. They adorned their bodies with jewelry and developed customs that reflected their religious beliefs. This is an example of the jewelry. You mean? Made of bones and little pieces of wood and shells. You see? This is prehistoric jewelry. And they also organized large celebrations in which many people came together to eat, dance, or pray. So that means that religious beliefs are something that was established in the society even before God was present in the lives of people. Remember that there was a different God for every different kind of people. This is the example of a longhouse. Okay, this was the first model of house in which large groups of people could live. Nootka is a tribe in North Canada. And the dugouts in Siberia. Siberia is a region in Russia in which the houses had to be underground in order for them to protect themselves from the harsh winters. And remember that winters in places like Russia are pretty long. So they needed the most protection they could get. That's it for now, people. I hope you enjoyed the class, and we'll see you next time.